And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Flying weather for the morning hours tomorrow and Thursday. Band of IFR here across the central Bering Sea down into the Aleutians with that next big front and all the moisture coming east-northeastward here with marginal VFR right up to the southwest coast. St. Lawrence Island northward, VFR, all of the interior, maybe a little bit of leftover marginal VFR there around Eagle, either side there, north or south. Along the Yukon River, IFR for the eastern Arctic coast, and IFR also here for the Panhandle. For the afternoon, improving here, especially over the northern southeast coast, with VFR there, marginal VFR to the south. VFR here, again, Kenai Peninsula, Kodiak Island, up to the Arctic coast with this area of IFR here sliding off to the east as IFR here pushes and makes landfall along the southwest coast up to St. Lawrence Island and then extends back down in toward Adak to Kiska Island. And for Friday morning, this makes an advance. The IFR advances inland here into the, at least a ways into the southwest interior up across Norton Sound, probably to Nome, and covers the northern Bering Sea now with another band southward there to Adak. Otherwise, some VFR here over the southeast Bering Sea, Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, all the way up over the interior to the Arctic coast, Arctic Ocean, VFR. And for the southeast coast, continued slow improvement here over the southern areas, but some lingering IFR there, or lingering marginal VFR, misty fjords over toward Hyder and Stewart. And then for the afternoon, finally, solid VFR for the entire southeast coast. Stays VFR here for the North Gulf Coast, up into the east central interior to the Arctic coast here, but showing IFR making a pretty good push here eastward, coming right up to the western Alaska Range. That means right across the Kuskokwim Valley, back out over all of the northern Bering Sea there, and then extending southwest along the frontal boundary there into Adak and Atka. So from there, taking a look at the passes tomorrow, looking good everywhere. Anatuvik and Adigan, VFR in the forecast, Lake Clark, Merrill. Same thing, rainy VFR, windy VFR, VFR for Isabel and Mintasta as well as Tanita. And Portage, VFR, Chilkoot and White also, VFR. Freezing levels here, not much to look at here over the interior of the surface, all the way down off the chart there. But still up around Dixon Entrance there. Out to the west, warmer air coming up, 2,000 feet here, all the way up to about the latitude of the Pribilof Islands, or even a little to the north there, with 4,000 feet back toward Adak and Atka. So taking a look at the icing chart, big push of icing coming into the southwest coast up to St. Lawrence Island, across the Pribilofs, trailing back into the west central Aleutian areas there. Otherwise icing free in the interior from the Gulf up to the Arctic Ocean, and possibly some isolated mixed icing here over the Panhandle. And for the jet stream, cold upper low shifting off to the southeast here with the strongest jet just clipping the southern Panhandle at about 110 knots. Otherwise west across the Chukchi Sea at 70 knots, turned northwest here across the central interior. A little bit stronger there, Kodiak Island, northwest 85 knots. Westerlies at 80 knots out over the central Bering Sea. 9,000 feet here with this front out here and storminess to the west. We've got southwesterlies at 60 knots through there, diminishing here to about 35 knots with a weaker system up in this area, 35 to 45 knots. North, 35 knots. Here across all the western Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island area. Not too bad over the interior. And 35 with a weak low here off the central Panhandle. So we got south winds 35 knots there into that area. And at 3,000 feet, pretty light there here for the southeast coast. We have this weak low south of Yakutat. Narrow band of 40-knot northerlies here. Susitna Valley, Cook Inlet area down into the Barren Islands, a little bit for Kodiak, light up over the interior. West-northwest, 40 knots, clipping the eastern Beaufort Sea coastline. And with the frontal system out here, we've got 65-knot winds with this portion of it as it pushes up into the southwest coast towards St. Lawrence Island, 70-knot southerlies over the central Aleutians. And for turbulence, look for considerable moderate turbulence here for all of the Aleutian chain into the western half of the Alaska Peninsula, southern Seward Peninsula, right on down across the southwest interior to about Togiak or so, St. Lawrence Island included there. And Pretty widespread mechanical turbulence here for the northern panhandle, North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, southern Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet area into Kamishak Bay, as well as Kodiak Island.